Alright, so right now we're driving my 2002 Toyota Tacoma. It's a 2.7 4-cylinder. It's got 4x4 and it's a 5-speed. So it's pretty cool. I like it a lot. It needs a little bit of work, which we'll get into a little bit later on, but as you see it now, it's pretty much how I got it. The only thing I've done is I clean up the interior because the previous owner had a ton of dog hair. It was like caked on, yet a lint roller didn't even get it off. So I pretty much took out all the seats and just vacuumed for days, just getting rid of all the hair and stuff. But now it's fresh, it doesn't smell bad, has never been smoked in here. It's in really clean condition. I got 146,000 miles on it, so for these Tacomas, that's pretty low mileage. It's really practical. Right now, I've actually just come back from buying something off Craigslist that I needed the truck bed for. I got it without the cap, but I just so happened to randomly look on Craigslist and find that cap right after I bought it. It was the only one in the area. It was a good price and it's matching color, so crazy luck like that. And then also, buying this truck, I mean, I always wanted one of these, but they're just so expensive. So my neighbor had one a year ago and he was selling it, and at the time I had the 4Runner. And if I didn't have the 4, and I definitely probably would have bought his because he was willing to sell it for a decent price, but I just wasn't in the position to. So a year's passed by. I was talking to him just the other day about it. I was like, what the heck, let me look on Craigslist real quick and see if there's any Tacomas for sale. And what do you know? There was a Tacoma that had posted maybe, I think it was 14 or 16 minutes by the time I'd seen it, and it was priced very well. So I was like, crap, I'm going to call this guy. That's a tip, pro tip. If you see something on Craigslist that's a really good deal, don't text, just call ASAP, because you got to get in line. So I called him 16 minutes after, and he'd already had about, I think, 3 calls. One guy was, because I bought it in Richmond, Virginia, in the suburbs of Richmond, Virginia. A guy from North Carolina said he was going to drive up. This was in a Friday evening. Guy said from North Carolina told the dude he was going to drive up that night and arrive at midnight, and he was like, I'm not doing that. So I was like, I'll meet you first thing in the morning, like 8, 9 a.m. So he agreed to let me come take a look at it. During the test drive, it drove fine. The brakes are really good. The suspension feels good. It's mechanically very sound. It has a check engine light on, but it's just for an oxygen sensor, which he stated, and I got it checked out as well, and it matched up. It's the upper oxygen sensor, which is really easy to change. Anyways, the test drive consisted of maybe 10 minutes, making sure 4x4 worked, make sure the gear's fine, make sure all the lights and everything worked, make sure it drove fine at speeds. Another pro tip, if you do a test drive, make sure you can go 65 miles an hour on the highway, because I've just driven a car a couple times when it's slow and never taken it at speed, and then when you get on the highway, it's a mess. Anyways, back to the story. Within the 10-minute test drive, he had at least 10 calls about the truck. His phone was just blowing up, just saying, I want the truck, I want the truck, I want the truck. I was like, oh. They didn't add any pressure to me to buy it, but it made me feel as though I was getting a good deal. So I decided to pick it up. It had a little bit of surface rust in the frame, which I was okay with, trying to knock it off from the 4Runner that I had. But unfortunately, getting home, I took a hammer to it, because at the time I was using my fingers and like just prying with keys to make sure it was fine, everything looked good. But I brought it home and took a hammer to it, only to find out that either the previous owner or the previous owner's mechanic hid a ton of rust. These rust really bad in the rear spring perch areas, and it was filled with rust. Pretty much there was a hole in the frame, and I was pretty ticked off that it was covered with, like, I guess a little bit of Bondo, but mainly house filler. And I was furious that, because it was fresh too, I was furious. I thought about like taking it back, because it's actually illegal to hide any safety issues, hide any issues that would lead someone to buy a car. Like if it's mechanically blows up, you can't hide that, but if it's blatantly going against a safety issue and hiding it, that's cause for concern. If I paid top dollar for this truck, I probably would have stopped driving it immediately and tried to go the legal route, but I decided not to, because I found a company that's gonna makes these molds that you can weld up into the frame to replace all the bad rust. So I'm gonna do that, and I got it for such a good deal that mechanically it's sound. If mechanically it was a little iffy, I'd probably just try and quick fix it and sell it and disclose that information, but it's mechanically great, so I'm gonna keep it. This is probably gonna be the last drive though, because I do not like how much rust is on it. I don't trust it anymore. It's definitely fixable, but needs a lot of work. Another thing to note is the base model Tacoma. When I was looking at it, I was rather surprised that things looked a little different in here. It's automatic locks, automatic windows. It's no cruise control. It has a different dash. It doesn't even have a tachometer, which is crazy because it's a manual. No tack, and then the craziest of crazy is no AC. And what didn't come from the factory with AC, where the button where you normally press for AC is just a black fake button, which is odd. I would really like AC, so once I get everything else straightened out, I would like to look into maybe adding AC from a junkyard, or at least getting some of the brackets and then buying everything new, because that's detrimental. But like power windows and stuff, I could be fine without. I know some of you guys are bummed I got this over the Miata, but life calls for practicality sometimes. I've recently gotten married, and I think the turning point was, you saw the snow video of me driving the Miata. That was fine and dandy, but I actually needed to go somewhere that day, and I couldn't drive. I didn't want to drive my G8, and I couldn't drive the Miata at all because I didn't trust that to drive on the highway anyway, and I just did not like the fact that I had to take my G8 out and the snow and all the salt and stuff like that. I like that car. It should be a daily driver, but when it's crappy like that, I really don't want to take it out and take a risk of someone else hitting me. So that was really the fact of why do I have these two cars if I'm not even using one of them to its full capability. And so I'll get one eventually again, I think, but I really wanted something full drive. I wanted something that I could drive daily, and I really wanted something with a truck bed because it's nice to be able to pick up stuff. Like right now I got some filing cabinets in the back that I'm going to make myself a desk out of. So that's going to be real handy, and it's going to be awesome to take this summer to the beach. That's the plan, at least, is that there's the sand beaches around here that you can go 4x4ing on, and this Tacoma would be perfect for that. I can floor it if you want. It's not going to be that exciting, so we're going 25. Let's put it in second gear and floor it. Ooh, that power. Whew! I think this thing has 155 at the crank or something like that from the factory, which it probably has a little less because it's check engine light because oxygen sensor. So this thing is not a speed demon, but I have had a 4x4 4-cylinder Jeep Wrangler in the past that was a 4-cylinder, and that thing was a dog. So I was a little worried about this when I got it, but I test drove it. This thing has a lot more power. At least it feels like it has a lot more power and doesn't struggle on the highway. So if you're contemplating if a 4x4 4-cylinder Tacoma can handle the highway and stuff like that, it handles it no troubles. Probably going to go home now. This will probably be the last time I drive it because I'm going to take the bed off. I'm going to sandblast all the frame to remove any rust that's there, get a good idea of what I need to cut out and need to replace. And then after that, it'll be sound, it'll be square. And I'd like to do some little things to it here and there to make it a little bit nicer. So definitely stay tuned for those kind of videos. But I've got some plans for the G8. I really want to get that into top notch. So I've been picking up some parts here and there. So when I install them, I'll be sure to show you guys. So I've been also, part of life in general, I've been kind of slumped with making these videos. I got married shortly after I got a dog. And shortly after that as well, I got a second job, like a part-time on the side job. So that was consuming my weekends, so I pretty much had no free time at all. But recently I've changed careers slightly, same industry, just different job. So I've switched that, and with that I've no longer have my other job, so I actually have weekends free to do what I want to do and need to do, so that makes a huge difference. And with that, it's going to allow me to make more videos and have more time to work on car stuff, which I dearly missed. Another thing to note too is I am, as it's the taping of this video, I am 26 years old or 26 years young. I have had my license since I was 16. I need to do another count, but I think I've had about 17 cars in my life. And if you do the math, that's more than one a year. I've had two at the same time, so that's where some of that variance comes in, but I haven't kept a car for very long because I either get bored with it or I just don't like it anymore, or feel as though I can upgrade to something that's going to be less expensive, more practical. Another thing too with the Miata is I love the Miata, but I wanted to throw so much money into that thing. I wanted to do full suspension, new wheels, new tires, paint job, body work, turbo, engine build, everything. I wanted to drop like thousands and thousands of dollars in that thing, and not in the spot to do that right now. I'm not rich, if you guys didn't realize. So I was in the dilemma of it needed a state inspection, so do I put in $1,000 or so to make it comply with that, no problem, or do I let it go right now and be in a pretty sound position? So I made the hard decision to put it on Craigslist and sell it. But what I did is I put it for an expensive amount that I thought was, like, if I got that amount, I'd be happy. And it just so happened I put it up there. Within a day, it got sold. And now we're here. I went about a month or two between the Miata and this. The guy that bought my Miata actually had seen some of my videos, so he knew what good condition it was in. So I think that's kind of a plus too, is that not only did I have some records of all the service that had been done, but I had video footage of me actually doing the work, making sure that it was legitimate. So I have no concerns in my mind at all that Miata was 100% good to go. Alright, so that's all I got today. I'm going to go park it, do some work around the house, and then within the next coming weekends I'm going to start the tear down of this, specifically the back. Taking off the bed, taking off the cap, start sandblasting the frame to really assess where we're at and how much rust damage there is. I've inspected it a decent amount now that I actually owned it instead of being hovering over by the previous owner. And there's definitely, without a doubt, enough structural metal to weld to. It's just the bottom section is a little bit on its way. So it's worthwhile fixing. It's going to be fine. I'm going to be sure to take video footage of all of it. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe if you want. I got more videos coming up of the Tacoma. I got more videos of the G8. And I've got some buddies with cool cars too, specifically the Fiesta. So be sure to check out the next upcoming videos. Have fun. Keep it real. Peace out.